Well, all right, you are in the kitchen with Jelly 007, and tonight, another classic from my childhood, beef stroganoff. And that's pretty much all you got to say, because you've ate it as much as I did as a child. You know it's a great recipe to feed your family with. Now, I don't have my mother's recipe, or actually, my mother didn't have a Ninja Foodi, so I'm not sure it would have done that good. I'd have probably had to have changed it. So what I'm going to do is the basic, just like she did with ground beef. We never used some of the cuts that people show for it. We just didn't. It was ground beef. That's what it was to me all my life. So, but what I'm going to do is bring you around, show you what I'm putting in it and how I do it. We're about to get this started. Y'all hold on and I'll be right back. Okay, so just a quick rundown on the ingredients. Now, that is 80-20. I normally use 90-10. Long story, but I ended up with 80-20. That is 1.1 pounds. And I weighed it. So we're going to brown those off in the beginning, and you'll get to see all that. So really no need explaining what I'm going to do. I'll show it. That's 12 ounces of wide egg noodles that I'm not going to use the entire bag. More like about 8 ounces of those. So, you know, 2/3 of that bag. Half of this Vidalia onion that I'm going to cut in half and then slice into slithers, small slithers, not chop. This is 8 ounces of Baby Bella sliced mushrooms, because they didn't have the whole today. I normally would have sliced those into quarters, but it's no big deal. They'll work fine. Pretty much the entire carton of that beef broth. Now the runoff I'm gonna get on this may affect how much of that I add. I may hold back a little bit. It's not that big a deal. But if this does give me a lot of runoff, I got a couple of ways. I can either pour it off and then put it back in, what I want, or sometimes I just throw a couple of pieces of bread in there and let it absorb it up, and the dog loves me for it. So let's see what else I hadn't told. Just a little bit of Worcestershire. I don't add a lot, maybe a couple of teaspoons. One can of cream of mushroom soup. And I put these in the beginning, and at the end I'll add these shiitake. Now, that's not a necessity, I just like it. And it gives you two different textures of mushrooms, because these are jarred obviously, and these are fresh. And I kind of like it. And plus it's two different kinds. Those Baby Bellas, those are shiitake. Half a cup of sour cream, and sometimes at the end, if I think I need it, I put a little bit of heavy cream. So I think I've mentioned it all. We're going to get it started, starting off by browning that meat right there in the Ninja on the sear mode. I'll get that started and I'll be right back. Okay, so right quick, I know you probably already know, but I cut the onion in half. I cut the root end off and the top end off, and then I just slice it pretty thin, because we don't use garlic either. You'll notice I don't, because me and the wife are not crazy about garlic, and we're not crazy about onions, so we don't use a half an onion. I use a Vidalia, and I cut it real thin where it'll still be there. I want to know it's there, and a cooked onion's a lot better for both of us than a raw. But that's so you know how I get those slices. You may already know, but now you do for sure. Okay, so next step is as simple as hitting sear saute. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on high for now. I'm gonna hit start. There's no need in waiting that to get hot. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. And I'm going to break that up just a little bit. Just knock it around, and we're gonna use, I don't put any olive oils or avocado oils or anything, especially on 80-20. There's no need in it at all. So all we got to do now is wait on that right there to start browning up, and we'll add these onions and these mushrooms right here, and then we'll start building the rest of it. So anyhow, be right back. Okay, so I'll show you. It's only been in there just a minute. It's just beginning to get hot. Now I may slow the roll on this a little bit, but I'm also, because I want those onions to cook down a good bit, and I've got a little oil on the bottom of the pan, I'm fixing to put them in. So just drop them in just like that and mix them around. And if you want your onions to be a little more, it's not going to mean that big of a deal. But if you want them to be a little more, where you can tell they're there, you wait a little longer before you put them in, but don't need to tell you that. Because soon we're going to put the mushrooms in, but right now I'm going to work on these onions and that ground beef, keep it stirred up for a minute. Okay, so as you can see, that's probably been another 3 minutes, and it's plenty of liquids and oils in there, so those onions they'll be fine. First of all, they're Vidalia. It's not that we don't like onions. We love them. They just don't like us. So I like to have them at least cooked you know, a little bit. So I'm fixing to drop those mushrooms in there, and now we'll add a little more liquid and stir those a little bit. So that's kind of the method I use. You can use whichever, you know, it's simple. It really is. It's not some of this stuff that is really a lot easier to do than people think it is. A lot of people are intimidated by cooking. You shouldn't be. You really just about can't mess up some of this stuff. And this Ninja Foodi is really, that it means a bunch, and I think it would to most people that don't cook a lot. Okay, so I've placed that lid, by the way, I didn't mention it, but that's off of another skillet I got, or another device, I don't even know, but it fits the Ninja perfect, and it works excellent for this kind of stuff. And you can see, that's what's going on in there. I just want to get everything, you know, sweated down a little bit, and then we're going to start adding liquids and egg noodles. Okay, so it's probably been 4 or 5 minutes, and let's see if I can stir it around a little bit so you can tell a little bit about it. But as you can see, that ground beef's done. So that's really all I'm looking for. Once that's done, I'm gonna start adding liquids and bringing it to a boil, because I don't put the noodles in until I got a pretty good simmer. So that's what we're gonna do right now. And I never lowered the heat. Normally it seems like I have to. I just didn't on this one. But I'm gonna put the whole container. There's not enough liquid in there for me to worry about. And as I add those noodles, you know, we'll use, like I said, about 2/3 of that bag. So anyhow, we might add a little more. We'll see how it's looking. There's a little extra liquid. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the can of mushroom in there too, the cream of mushroom. And get this stirred up, and then I can leave it alone for a minute while it comes to a simmer. But as you saw, all the meat was done, so I mean everything's good there. I don't like banging that on the side of my Ninja. So all I'm gonna do now is mix this up, just mix it all together, combine it, whatever you want to say, just make it not have any lumps. And now we can wait on that, put the lid back on, and just kind of watch for it to start simmering. So, be right in a minute. Y'all hold on. Okay, so that took, I don't know, 7, 8 minutes, but you can see it's rolling pretty good. I'm even going to slow it down just a little bit, which you have to sometimes just turn it off, is what I always do. Hit sear saute temp down to, say, medium low for right now, because I got to get my, I got to get my noodles ready. I got to get my bag cut open. And I'm telling you, it happens pretty quick, because I wasn't ready. And I'm going to leave this open because it wants to foam real bad. But I don't want it to, you know, cook off all my liquids right yet. Okay, so as you can see, it slowed down a lot. That took about 2 minutes. By the way, I didn't mention, this is a 32-ounce container. I don't think I mentioned it. And here is what I've got left. And if it looks like I need them, you know, it's not going to hurt anything. I can add them. But this is what we're going in with right now. And I'm probably going to turn the heat back up after that. So there's that. Here's my spoon. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. And you can. And this is all I got to do. Is this right here. We're going to give this a little bit to get ready and see how the liquids look in just a second. And I have a feeling we're going to be really close. So, get that lid back on, and I will be back in a second. Okay, so at exactly 5 minutes, that's what they've been in there. I'm going to raise the temp, because I just checked the noodles, and they're not done, and it's not back to rolling. And again, it's not a crisis, but I'm going to turn it off like I always do. I'm going to hit sear saute, and I'm going to go medium, because I'm not in a hurry. I got plenty of time to let this happen. And a lot of people cook them in a slow cooker. Now, if you'd left that on high, this would already be happening, and these noodles would be getting done faster. It's just, you know, again, this is way more intimidating cooking stuff like this than it looks. It's really, you just kind of do it look and feel. So, anyhow. When it gets to rolling, we'll come back and check them in just a second. But by the way, it's 10 till 12, so we'll see what time they get done. That's after 5 minutes of being in the hot liquid. So be back. Okay, again, for the record, it's 6 till 12, and as you can see, it's already back to actually further than I want it. So I'm gonna do it again. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm gonna hit sear saute. I'm gonna take my temp down to, I don't know, medium low again. And you don't have to do all this. It's just I'm not in a hurry. I've got other things I'm doing. I'm fixing to start another thing, but all I'm gonna do, this doesn't like long. I'm fixing to test one of these noodles here in a minute and see where it's at, but I'm gonna let that rock just like it is let that die down just a little bit, and we'll be ready here in a minute. Okay, so you can see it's been about 2 minutes maybe or so since I went to low medium. We're gonna check a noodle just to see. And the noodle, I mean, you can see it looks good. And that noodle is 100% perfect. So now, this is when I add the sour cream. What I'm gonna do is just dump it in there. I may have to help it out of this cup. In fact, I may have to get something different, but I will. Not a big deal. I'm gonna stir that in. And I'm going to grab maybe this right here. I'm not sure, but yeah, that'll work. Get the rest of that out of there. And then we're gonna add those mushrooms. I'm telling you, that noodle right there, that method we just did, and again, it's hard to miss. All you do is just taste them every once in a while. The noodle was perfect. I mean, you're not gonna get any better than that. And I'm gonna slow the roll on a little bit. I may let it cook off some of these liquids just a little bit. And one thing I have forgot to do is drain those mushrooms, because I'm not putting that liquid in, I'm just putting the mushrooms. Now I'm not gonna squeeze my mushrooms dry like I would in some things, maybe a pizza or something. I'm just gonna drain the liquids off of that can of mushrooms right here. Then all I gotta do is pour these in there with no liquid, and then Worcestershire to taste. And that's a big deal. The Worcestershire is to taste. And I just kind of shake it till I feel good about it. But anyhow, I'm gonna get this going and get those mushrooms drained, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the mushrooms are draining into the slotted spoon right there. And this is where I'm just gonna do that right there. And I got a feeling, I don't even want to really know it's there. It's not something I want to, per se, taste Worcestershire. It kind of gives it a look. You get an aroma for one, and it kind of gives it this, I don't want to say mysterious, but, and you just want it to kind of be there in the background. I don't want it to taste exactly like Worcestershire or even smell real bad about it, because it does add, even what little I just put in there, it's obvious. You can smell it right now. Now, all I'm gonna do is take these shiitakes that I've drained out right there and put them right here. And I really do think this means a lot, and it's kind of a nitpicky thing or kind of a gimmicky thing I do. But you have mushrooms of two totally different texture, and again, they're two different kinds. But even if you use the same kinds, it's just a little bit different at this point, So we're really close to being done. I mean, some black pepper, and it may need salt, what little bit I tasted, but I haven't put any in, except, what was for in all the ingredients. But it really is, and it'll feed your family, and they'll love it. Just like that, real simple. And it didn't take that long. It's not a big time consuming deal. You kind of got to watch it at a few times. You have to keep an eye on it, but not really. We're gonna let that come all the way to temp, let it bubble back a little bit. I'm debating on whether to take that to medium, but I think, again, I'm in no hurry. I'm gonna let it simmer out right there. I'll be right back. Okay, so we may call this midnight stroganoff, because that's kind of where it's at. But anyhow, I left it on low, and I put the lid on, and it never really came back to a simmer, but take my word, the noodles are done, everything's warm. There's no need in it. So now it's time to do this right here. And again, it was almost a staple in my childhood. I remember eating it quite often. And I'm gonna throw in the one last thing. that I say a lot of times. I don't know what to do with this. And that is, I can take this out of here, let it cool, put it in my refrigerator. And that's what happens a lot of times here. I'm not gonna lie, I cook late, and I can put this in the refrigerator tomorrow, set it right back in here, just like this, and hit keep warm. And in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, it will be just like it is right now. But right now, I'm fixing to sit down, and we're going to get a bowl. I'm going to eat this bowl in front of y'all, or I'm gonna eat part of it anyhow. So y'all hold up, and I'll be right back. Okay, like I said, it is another winner, and it really is. The noodles are perfect. The ground beef works really well. Everything about it. It's a great meal to feed your family. Really inexpensive, fast, one pot to clean, nothing else to mess with, and you can put it in the refrigerator and bring it back out, you know, for a couple of days and just reheating it. So it's got a lot of pluses, but mainly this right here, it's excellent. Reminds me of my childhood, and well, I'll just see it. It looks great. I put a little black pepper on it. Now, I didn't add any salt. And I like salt. So, I mean, it didn't need it. I think it was good like it was. I'm trying to get it where you can see it, and my head's in the way of the light, but I hope you can. But what I'm telling you is the noodles and all are really good. Everything worked. And I'd also like to say, I think it was Anthony Gant that suggested this on one of my comments. Said, hey, how about beef stroganoff? I hadn't thought about it. It's a quick, like I said the other night, one of the ones I did, trying to keep it simple and inexpensive and feed your family. You know, that's what this is about. And you know, if you got a Ninja, and you know what, you can do this in the Instapot. I mean, the Instapot is fine. You can do the same thing in the Instapot. It's not a strictly Ninja. You don't need the browning function. You don't need pressure. Well, of course, it's got it, but you don't need any of that. You can do it in any pressure cooker. Anyhow, thanks, Anthony, for bringing this to my attention. That was a good idea. And thank all of y'all for watching my videos. Really, I promise you, thanks a lot. I love y'all all, and come back to see me. Bye-bye.